Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News for this Friday, November 29. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. As the Health Ministry sounds the alarm about a significant increase in influenza cases, the opposition is insisting that there is insufficient flu vaccination for the Jamaican population. TVJ Shamela Pullen tells us more.
At Thursday's press briefing by the Ministry of Health, it was announced that 25,000 flu vaccines were ordered. But opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Maurice Guy, says that's not enough. According to Dr. Guy, the ministry needs to do a proper assessment of what it has and what it needed.
So the 25,000 units out there currently, or they have in stock, needs to go out as quickly as possible to all the health centers and public health facilities that they are destined for. And there's a continuous assessment as to see what is the uptake or the take-up by the population. And secondly, do we need to expand the public relations component of it, or do we need, based on the take-up by the population, to order more? So
Dr. Guy says this is a matter of urgency because persons should have started getting the flu vaccine from as early as August, ahead of the flu season, which started in October and can go as late as March or even April.
You will recall that last year that they were only giving to those persons who were their frontline workers and children, and they had a lot of vaccines left over, which became useless after a while, and people were suffering. It is something that they need to get out there urgently and to get to the public as quickly as possible. It should not have taken a media briefing yesterday to bring home the point that we need to have it.
Meanwhile, Dr. Guy believes the Ministry of Health should also do more public education about the influenza virus. This, as he says he's fully aware that there are some Jamaicans who do not want to take the flu vaccine for various reasons.
There's part of the skepticism about taking the flu vaccine. And it's also born out of the fact that, internationally people are against anti-vaccines nowadays. So that is trickling down into our population too. But I think the benefit outweighs any risk that one may contemplate. And my suggestion is that you take the flu vaccine.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, Dr. Guy has commented on the Ministry of Health's press briefing on Thursday. At the briefing, it was reported that there have been 63 dengue-related deaths and over 6,000 cases in the island since 2019. Dr. Guy insists that the minister and the ministry acted slowly, as he believes some of those deaths could have been prevented.
You will recall that I had said that they confirmed it, that they stopped vector control program in April, May, June. They started January, February. They stopped it April, May, June. And when they saw the cases coming back up in July, they restarted it. The truth is, had we had a sustained vector control program for the entire year, we would not have seen so many people dying as a consequence of it, because you would have been able to contain the breeding sites, you'd have been able to contain the amount of mosquitoes that are being bred. And secondly, as a consequence of less mosquitoes, less likelihood of the dengue being transmitted from person to person.
Changes at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James are expected to boost tourist arrivals by providing a smoother entry into the island. The Passport Immigration and Citizenship Agency, PICA, is increasing the number of immigration kiosks available to travelers. Kimon Witter reports.
While tourist arrival figures for Jamaica continue to impress, the line between border security and ease of travel for visitors has created concern.
One of the most worrying things for any passenger, especially those who travel off, is to go into an airport and have to wait 2 hours or 3 hours in line just to get in. If you have that happening regularly, the rate of return is extremely low.
It's why PICA has spearheaded the initiative to increase the number of kiosks at the Sangster International Airport.
So we have 10 installed and we have 10 more to install down in Montego Bay. The purpose why we're putting in the additional kiosks is to address the increase in volumes of passengers that are coming through the Sangster International Airport. I think they're anticipating a 5% increase in the volumes. So with the kiosks now, we will have 45 kiosks and 36 officers who will be able to process passengers.
For the security minister, the additional kiosks is an indicator of the increasing use of technology to safeguard the island's borders. But he also noted the impact the technology is expected to have on the tourism product.
So when you look at a kiosk taking 30 to 35 seconds to process one passport, we'll end up with some 45 kiosks in Montego Bay. That means, in practical terms, you may be up to about 80 people in a minute. When you consider, and that translates into almost 3,000 in the hour. At peak time in Montego Bay, especially at Christmas time, that's the kind of numbers that go through here.
Currently, with just 20 kiosks operational, nearly something about 40% of the passengers are using the kiosks. So we know when we put in the additional kiosks, it will also help it will increase. So we're probably looking at closer a bit to 60% of the passengers now using the kiosks.
It's anticipated that visitor arrivals will increase by at least 5% during the Christmas season. Kimone Witter, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, there is already good news for the tourism sector for the year's winter tourist season. Earnings and tourist arrivals for this year are reportedly ahead of projections. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett made the announcement earlier this week, noting that we are still ahead of the season's peak period.
Jamaica, recognized by the World Economic Forum as the #2 destination in the world that prioritizes tourism, and #6 in the world for our marketing and branding. Now, this is a little country that is merely a speck, a little dot on the global map that is weighing that weight heavily in global space and have that mass which is so powerful.
Still early, Mr. Bartlett is also predicting higher figures and numbers for 2020. This among other developments. Direct flights from Lima, Peru to Jamaica through LATAM Airlines is expected to increase visitor arrivals from South America. In addition to the increased flights, he says Brand Jamaica continues to rake in the numbers.
To date is US $3.1 billion. And we had already broken the 3 million mark for arrivals. So, Donovan White, we are on track to surpass, in fact, because December is usually a very strong month.
And we take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. There's more news when we return. Welcome back, continuing the news. A scathing defense from the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Jeremy Taylor, over the performance of prosecutors in the country. Members of the public often criticize the DPP and her office whenever cases, especially high-profile cases, fall through. Mr. Taylor says he has noted the criticisms, but he insists it's not true that prosecutors are not able to match their defense lawyers in the courtroom. He pointed to several high-profile convictions and guilty pleas secured by prosecutors.
There's a myth going on that every time you hear about seasoned defense counsel going up against prosecutors as, if we are children or if we are ill-prepared or that we cannot manage. We'll mash down that lie.
The prosecutor says presenting cases can be difficult because in some instances, jurors must be convinced and most of them are not versed in the law. But according to the Deputy DPP, trained legal minds who should know the law also are struggling in the courtroom, and this doesn't make the job of prosecutors any easier.
We have to communicate very difficult concepts of law and evidence to a tribunal, either of law, that is the judge, and believe me, some of them do need it.
DPP was addressing a justice training program put on by the Ministry of Justice and the National Integrity Action, NIA. As the Technology Ministry moves towards centralization of government information communication technology, ICT decisions, a warning from Technology Minister Favour Williams that agencies must adhere to the program. The minister was addressing employees of government ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, at the first of a series of talks on the matter. Under the new policy, MDAs will not be allowed to purchase technology-based equipment or software without first consulting eGov Jamaica's ICT authority.
It's an obligation on your part to work with the ICT authority in your area to help them to understand what your needs are and to work to get those needs attended to.
Despite the changes, however, Ms. Williams explained that the objective is collaboration and efficiency, as all other functions will remain the same.
It doesn't mean that we're creating a centralized bureaucracy. No, that's not the case. Because in all of the MDAs, your ICT department will remain. We're just saying you're not doing this in isolation. You're doing what you're doing now. You will be doing what you're doing as part of the whole.
Another incident of predial larceny is being investigated after a cow was discovered in the back of a bus. It's reported that around 12:30 Thursday morning, during a police spot check at Tombstone in Lacovia, St. Elizabeth, a Toyota Noah bus was seen making a U-turn through a gas station. The cops began to follow the vehicle when two men emerged and fled into bushes, leaving the bus behind. That is when the animal was seen in the back of the vehicle, covered with a smart TV box. A check was made and it was also discovered that the bus was rented. While the police follow leads to catch those culprits, it's expected that predial larceny will increase as the Christmas season approaches. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Agriculture, J.C. Hutchinson, is therefore encouraging farmers to come together to provide a support system for catching thieves.
Whereby they even provide themselves with whistles, that in case there is any stranger or anybody within the area coming to steal any of their animals or crops, they would be able to sound off the alarm so others would be able to come and assist them.
Mr. Hutchinson added that he will be asking the predial larceny police unit to be more vigilant in areas with significant farming activities, to include patrols throughout the area. In regional news, we go to Dominica, where the High Court is to meet today ahead of Monday's sitting to hear an application from 7 people, including a former government minister, seeking to postpone the December 6th general election to February next year. Former Antigua and Barbuda Attorney General, Queen Counsel Justin Simon, is leading the team of lawyers representing the 7 persons who say the election should not take place unless procedures are fully in place to hold the poll. They have named President of Dominica, Charles Savarin, the Chief Executive Officer, the Cabinet of Dominica, the Attorney General, and state-owned DBS Radio in the application. High Court Judge Justice Bernie Stevenson will hear the matter on Monday, but it will come up for directions today, with legal representatives from all sides expected to be present. In their application, the 7 are arguing that the election should not be held until the names of ineligible voters are removed from the list and all objections filed before November 19 are dealt with in accordance with the law. We go now to news in sports. The stakes will be high on Old Hope Road and Bumper Hall when perennial champions Jamaica College and St. Andrew Technical clash in the final of the Issa Manning Cup at the National Stadium in what will be a repeat of the 2017 final. Now TVJ's Simon Preston has the preview.
Jamaica College's passage to the final was not a smooth one. After scoring a whopping 54 goals in their opening 12 games, the 29-time champions only mustered up 2 goals in their last 4 games. But Captain Tyree Small says he's not concerned about their lack of goals.
The lack of goals or lack of finishing in this team, we have quality, a lot of quality, and unfortunately we haven't been finishing, as you guys can see, but I believe that we will deliver and we'll get the job done.
Shaniel Thomas was a member of the winning team in 2017 that got the better of St. Andrew Technical, and he says he's hungry for more success.
It's a very wonderful feeling. I can remember us going into the finals back in 2017, and when we won, it was a wonderful feeling. I want to feel that joy again.
In the quarter-final round, St. Andrew Technical got the better of JC 2-1, but for head coach of Jamaica College, Davian Ferguson, that result is in the past.
They have a lot of punch in terms of going forward, And they're very aggressive, very hard running, and they will not stop running. I believe, though, that the game that we played against them in the quarterfinals is a totally different game now, because in that game there was no pressure at all on them. They could play freely, nothing was at stake for them. It was only on us. In this final now, it's on both of us. So let us see who manages the pressure well.
Head coach of St. Andrew Technical, Philip Williams, is looking to maintain their unbeaten run and end a 32-year drought.
We'll definitely want to put the memories of 2 years ago behind us. This is our second final in 2 years. It's an achievement, but definitely we want a title to show for that, and we'd like to do that this Friday.
Captain of St. Andrew Technical, Stephen McQueen, is looking to get revenge on JC, who took the title in 2017.
Well, it will be a joyful moment for the area which St. Andrew Technical is located in. So definitely want to bring this title to St. Andrew Technical. So the people around Greenwich Farm, Rosetown, Tivoli Gardens, Anatown, Denham Town, back, the whole Kingston.
Kickoff is at 5 o'clock and live coverage can be seen on TVJ. In the curtain raiser at the office, St. Catherine High will battle Excelsior in the Walker Cup final at 2:30. Simon Preston reporting for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.